for entertainment purposes only. And if you want true legal advice, contact your own lawyer.
I'm a winner.
Tomorrow can continue to depend on our forests. Visit arborday.org. See how you can help.
This is Radio Law Talk with Frederick Penney.
Well, I'm a winner, chicken dinner, the last segment, and now we're getting into Major League umpire Joe West is suing an ex-catcher by the name of Paul Lo Duca over claims that on a podcast, Paul, to me it sounds like a joke, what he was saying, mentioned that the umpire may have taken some bribes. In fact, a quote from Joe, a quote from this individual, Paul, that he said on this podcast. Joe is the umpire, and this is the quote. Quote, Joe loves antique cars, so every time he comes into town, I lend him my 57 Chevy so he can drive it around. So then he opens up the strike zone for me. That's something funny, you know. I mean, I don't know. Come on.
Just a couple of things about this. So Paul Lo Duca, longtime catcher in Major League Baseball, was on a podcast called The Favorites. Now, The Favorites is a sports betting podcast on the Action Network, and he was on there. And what Lo Duca said was that another ball player, Billy Wagner, who was a pitcher for the New York Mets, he said that Wagner told Lo Duca that Wagner would loan the 57 Chevy to West to drive around and he'd open up the strike zone. And that raises up a couple of questions.
Kind of a joke. It sounds to me like it was kind of a joke.
It does. It sounds like a joke. And you know, we tease this a little bit. If there was one umpire that would be suing a ball player and somebody said, hey, an umpire did it, and I knew nothing else, I would have thought it was Joe West. Joe West is the guy who, the umpire most likely, if a pitcher throws a strike or throws a pitch, and the pitcher thinks it's a strike, and let's say West says ball, and the pitcher seems upset. West is the type of umpire that'll take a step to his left and just stare down the pitcher until the pitcher starts to show him some respect and then get back in. You know, do you want to go here? And he kind of makes the game about himself. He does that when he's behind the plate. He does it when he's in the field. He's just one of those characters. He's been around forever.
He's a little theatrical, but you know that's okay. Sometimes, though, I've umpired many games, not a major league, not even close. But sometimes you have to look at the pitcher and say, you know what, all day. That's going to be a strike or a ball all day. Deal with it.
Right.
And I remember Roger Clemens in a World Series game in Oakland did that very same thing. And within the first inning, the Boston Red Sox ace was tossed from the game in the first inning for constantly barking at the umpire.
That's right.
And you have to do that. You got to stand your ground. It's your job.
Well, I've seen Cal do that to those 5-year-old kids, man. He stares them down. I've seen him walk over there pointing at a little 5-year-old. You mess with Cal.
Mostly at the coach.
You know, what's really funny is when he looks at the kid and says, that's going to be a strike all day, and the kid looks, it's a tee. We're playing T-ball. I mean,
well, see, you swing and miss, buddy.
But I got a question. Okay, so defamation, what he's sued for, that's a personal injury type area. So, Fred, I got a question for you.
I probably don't have an answer.
Is Joe West suing the right person? Because when I look at here, all that Lo Duca said was, Billy Wagner told me that this happened. I'm not saying it did. I'm not saying it didn't. Billy Wagner said that this happened. Does Joe West arguably have a better claim against Billy Wagner or Paul Lo Duca?
I think he's got
Paul Lo Duca.
I think none.
Ultimately, I think that nothing's going to happen.
I don't know. Basically, he's saying that he took bribes. That's a crime. And under New York, they have negligence per se. And there are 4 statements that will qualify as negligence per se. First one is charging somebody or saying that somebody committed a serious crime. Bribery is a serious crime. Second one is a statement that injures another in their trade, business, or profession. The third thing is imputing a loathsome disease, not just kitties, Todd. And the fourth thing, believe it or not, only applies to women. It's saying that a woman is unchaste, unchaste, or
unchaste.
Yep.
Oh, that's CHASTE, not CHASSED, by the way.
Right.
You know what? This is what I got to say.
EST.
These are the issues as a lawyer you need to look at. The following. You look at the law, you look at how it's applied, and then you step outside that box and you say, now what is a jury going to do with this?
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you, I don't guarantee anything. I'm just saying gut feel is a jury's going to look at him and see this as more of like a joke. I would think it would be a joke. They were joking about it. Again, I haven't listened to the podcast, so I'm not saying one side or the other. But I think a jury, I would, as an attorney, say, and this is not legal advice, by the way, wow, do you think a jury's going to give you anything? I could see a jury going, really? Come on. You're a public figure, too.
But
You're a public figure.
We're missing another point here, guys, and that is it went out on the podcast, and most guys are going to go after the podcaster because for putting out that information. It's a podcast by nature is pre-recorded. I'm telling you.
Only if they were negligent in allowing that comment to come out, because it's not. The person who actually made the false statement and actually published it to the third party, which was to the network, was Duca. But the question I find is interesting is the person that can Wagner sue Duca?
Well, that's the other one. Can Wagner be sued, and can he sue if Wagner never said such a thing? Now, to be fair, because there may be somebody out there going, well, what if he really did? What if he? Because truth is a defense to it.
Correct.
Right? Statisticians did this. Billy Wagner pitched for the New York Mets during 2006-2007 when this was supposed to have taken place. So when you look at the stats, remember, the claim was that Wagner said that if he loaned him, his strike zone would expand.
Every time. Yes.
So here are the stats. There were only 2 games in which Joe West umpired a game where Billy Wagner could have even potentially been there, and Billy Wagner never appeared in either game. And on one of the games that he was there, it ended on a home run, not because of a called strike zone. So
it wouldn't have impacted any game.
So there's really no validity to the claim at all. I think West has an argument there. Like, look, this never happened. I didn't even ump games where Wagner was pitching. This just seems to be a stupid tongue-in-cheek comment. The only thing I found interesting was that the podcast is a sports betting podcast, and what's a Major League umpire doing listening to a sports betting podcast? That was sort of interesting, unless somebody told him about it. Okay.
I don't think that the stats, though, are really going to help Duca. If Duca said this with the intent and to broadcast that there was a crime committed, I think he might be at risk.
Well, no, I think the stats help West to say that, this is definitely false. There's no way that they can show this is true.
Got it.
You know what? I think East and North will have something to do with it.
Could
after
be.
that, I think it's going to go.
And
We'll be back. We'll be back.
I think this whole bit just went south. We'll be back with more Radio Law Talk right after this.
Go to the website, radiolawtalk.com. That's radiolawtalk.com.